Hello, everyone. Welcome in. Whoever made it, whoever can make it. Hopefully, I'll have some others roll on in here. To anyone and everyone, doesn't matter if you've seen it or anything, but I'm doing a review on um, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Very, very cool movie. And I would say probably I would say out of all the movies, in my opinion, this movie itself probably had the best plot line throughout the movie. This is the first time we got to see what was his name, the Arabian guy that helped him at the last movie too, but he's back. This is the first time he's in it, I think, or the second time. We also got I don't know his name that well, but I know Sean Connery is it's his first role as Indiana Jones's dad. This was really cool. It had a really good plot on his history with his dad in this movie. Um, and it talks about the Last Crusade, which was three brothers that decided to keep safe the chalice that Christ, or God, Jesus Christ, drank from at um, because it has eternal life when you drink from this chalice. It's the Holy Grail. Um, what other plot can I explain? Okay, let me try to see. Okay, thank you, Nick, for if you do jump in. Um, just jump in when you can, obviously. What was his name? I liked the third brother who was. Let me figure out his name. And you see him because he was still alive. Oh, I gotta figure out his name because he had a very short role at the very end, and he was my favorite character in the whole movie. And then his name was, oh gosh. Hello, welcome.
Hey Richard, how you doing?
Doing good. Hello, Surf Bum. We got our go-to person in here. Who was I was trying to just about I was talking about the movie, but who was the third brother? I know he was a British actor, but he wasn't in very few movies. It was the third brother from the Crusade. The at the very last moment he was in the movie. He was still alive
What's
from the 1800s. The one that had the eternal life.
the
Ah,
eternal
shoot.
life? You talking about the soldier? I mean
Yes,
the knight?
the soldier at the very end. Yes, is an older guy, older man, and he's very famous as Broadway for Britain.
Oh jeez, I can't remember his name.
Um,
You're talking about the knight though, right?
yes, the knight. One of the
Hmm.
knights of the first Crusade, with his two brothers. set out to find and protect the Holy Grail of Jesus Christ. I just don't remember what the actor's name was. Robert Edison. That's what it
Robert.
was. Robert Edison. Not very many American movies you see him in, really.
No.
He's been in a bunch of BBC TV series since the 1930s, and this was one of the last. He did movies all the way up until 1991, if I remember correctly, and he died in '92. And this was one of his last movies. He was like third or second to the last movie he did
Mm,
was The Last Crusade.
that's
And
interesting.
he did fantastic acting in that movie. So I liked him in that movie. Weirdly, favorite character out of the whole TV show movie.
Was
And
Ed?
um who would have thought he was in it, you know, but he did fantastic, you know, you've seen his Broadway chops when he was in the movie. So he did really well on it, I thought.
Just for the small part he had in the movie, he did do good.
Exactly. He should have had a bigger part, really, but I would have loved to see him more. But you know, it was. I think that was just because he was not really in his prime anymore. This
Yeah.
was towards the end of his life, and he did die from tuberculosis, so smoking too much back in the
Well, maybe
1990s.
they should have done that. Well, I know in the beginning of this film they showed the young Indiana Jones,
Yeah,
River played by River Phoenix, but
yeah,
maybe
that
they
was
should
River
have
Phoenix.
done maybe a small part of the night and tell a little bit of
Yep.
story about that.
Yeah.
So then when it comes to that ending part, and then you see him and he explains like, oh, that's the same guy.
Yeah, and that was him.
Yeah.
That's the British actor, and he was in BBC's version of there was a TV show called Shakespeare. He was part of, and then very many other TV shows for
I might have
BBC.
seen some of his work, but I just can't remember.
Yeah, exactly. Can't really put a
Because I
name
mean, I was
to
a
it, but
kid back then, so I don't.
yep, right there. Classical stage actor. And he's most widely remembered in the role of the Grail Knight, is what his name was. He had two brothers, but his name was the Grail Knight. And he lived
Hmm.
since they found the chalice in like 100 years before. That was the whole premise of the movie. I kind of like that
Yeah, that's,
effect of it. I would say, in my opinion, probably one of the movies that has the biggest and best plots. Now, it wasn't the best movie, but I think it has probably one of the best plots for any of the movies that have been out there for Indiana Jones. Was this movie?
no, this is my number two
Yeah,
on my list because you have to
yeah,
realize it's kind of it had a good, like you said, a good plot, had a story.
yeah,
Plus, what he did with the puzzles, with the book,
yeah,
the penitent man shall pass, and all that other stuff.
yep.
Now, that's
And
what I liked. I enjoyed it.
you don't really get to see very many Indiana Jones where they kind of do time leaps where they show like him Indiana Jones when he was younger and then older.
Hmm.
Um, they did
Except,
that
except for the last one.
they did that in the newest movie and this movie that I know of. So
Yeah, but
yeah,
you got to realize too. I think we're going back to the last movie here,
yeah.
but you have to admit there wasn't really a lot of puzzles
N-
in this last movie
no.
compared to the other films. That's what made it a little
Well,
disappointing.
it was like a time leap. Also, the puzzle that they had was trying to figure out what her dad was trying to figure
Exactly. He
out.
put it in the notebook,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
one from one generation to the next generation.
Yep. It's interesting. I kind of like the idea of the new movie where the girl finds basically all the information that her dad had, and she's trying to do it the same way her dad was doing it, but she was doing it in the first as for the wrong reasons, you know,
Mhm.
for money. And I kind of like the aspect of showing that you don't really have to do it for money, and she figured that out out towards the end. I think personally,
Yeah.
kind of life story in a way, which most Indiana Joneses don't. I noticed.
Yeah, but this film was good. I enjoyed it.
Yes, yeah, I like this film, The Last Crusade. Sean Connery as the first time you get to see him as the father. I think it's not the last time, if I remember correctly. I believe he was in Crystal Skull.
He
Very,
was, but like a
yeah,
picture.
yeah, okay. It
That's really
wasn't
it.
him
It
itself.
wasn't. No, no. It was just a picture. It was a picture of him and picture of Marcus Brody
Yeah,
in that movie. That was
yeah,
their cameo.
yeah. The cameo, Marcus Burgi. Yeah, I liked the movie.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, the comedy in it I thought was good.
it's a
The
comedy and it was
chemistry
good.
between Harrison Ford and
Um,
Sean Connery.
yeah, exactly. The famous Sean Connery voice that all the girls swoon over. The Scottish, high Scottish heritage that he always had. Um, I was doing a little bit of read up on Sean Connery, and I was amazed on how much money he donated to Scottish like foundations that's from his homeland, and
Hmm.
he really believed in that even towards the end of his life. And he don't if I remember correctly, they said he donated over $80.2 million to the Scottish heritage.
Well,
That's
he had a lot of money when
wow.
he passed. I think he had over a 300 something million.
Yes,
That's like
basically,
it's
if I remember correctly, that he started up what was it, a acting school at one time. He paid for it by using all the money he got as the third Bond film. So
nice.
all that money from that third movie, he donated all of that to creating a new foundation for Scottish children. So
Jeez. Well, that's good.
yeah,
It's
exactly.
very good.
Um, Most people don't know this, and it's an indie film, but his last movie was after he decided to retire, and he was in a animated film. Not very many people remember that, but it was not a very good film. But it was based upon the Scottish heritage. So
It was that I thought it was the
I
it
have to
was
look it
another
up.
film, the live action film where it was a weird film.
But
Um,
no, his last film was a animated.
it was animated, and then it
It
was
was
probably the one
animated, and
before that.
it was with a full on Scottish group that's never done animation before.
Okay.
And it just kind of flopped. It had halfway bad graphics.
Oh,
People just did not
jeez.
like it, and it was just a flop.
I'm trying to think.
I have to remember what the name of that was though.
Was it trying to think.
It's like a film that no one knows.
Yeah,
It's
let's see.
From Scotland probably, but
Probably is. I'm just trying to look up the last with the one. Oh, there it is. The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
that was the second to last film.
That
That
was
was
the one I
before he
remember.
retired. He made one right after that, after he retired as voice
And
acting.
that was the animated one. So it was the
And
one
that was
before
the
that.
animated one.
But that movie did not do very well at the box
No,
office. I remember that. I saw it.
it's
I was like,
called
okay, this is
Sir
a little weird.
Billy, if I remember correctly. Sirbilli.
Sir Billy.
Sir Billy. Or was later released as Guardians of the Highlands.
Hmm.
It was one of the only films that had from Rotten Tomatoes that had a 0% rating. It was so bad.
Yeah, there it is. Sir Billy,
Yes, Sir Billy.
2012.
Yeah, that was his last film. That's when he died.
All I know is most I
Yeah.
remember him from is James Bond and
Yep, James Bond.
the Highlander
Iconic.
movie.
Um, we will always remember him as the father of in this movie. This is basically when he became popular again because no one really seen him in any other movies except for westerns and
Hmm.
James Bond and Indiana Jones. And
I
when
know
he
one of the.
became back in the Indiana Jones, it
Yeah.
just boomed him. I think that made him popular for those years.
Well, yeah, because I remember the one with Nicolas Cage.
Yes.
His famous line, "Welcome to the Rock."
Yep.
I remember seeing that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, he made a lot of movies though. I just.
But when he was in the James Bond, he didn't really have his scraggly looks. That was when he was younger, if I remember correctly, and he was like a late 30s, probably late 40s kind of guy as James Bond.
Yeah, because when he started, he was in his early 30s.
Yeah, early 30s. That's when,
30, 32 or 30 or something like that.
and that is for American films. Not very many people know this, but he was started in his 20s, but he was in Scotland only, and
Hmm.
he didn't he still back then he even believed it that before that he didn't think that he should try to act for foundations that were out of Scotland or for not in Scotland until he moved to the U.S. and became a U.S. icon, basically.
Hmm.
Which it's interesting that he had that notion for his whole life, and he devoted to Scotland his whole life. So it's kind of neat that that
Yeah,
happened.
he was knighted too.
Yes, he was. He
Sir Sean
was.
Connery.
So was that last guy we were talking about. Robert Edison was knighted also at one time.
Hmm.
He was a OBE, so British. I don't remember OBE what OBE stood for. Um, Most Excellent Order of the British Empire, the OBE. So he was knighted at one time.
That's cool.
Yeah, OBE. So now I'm trying to I was like looking up what other Disney films had people that were OBEs. I know one that we don't think about is what is her name? Not Mary Poppins, but
Julie Andrews.
Julie Andrews was OBE, and then also Mrs. Potts, original from Beauty and the Beast.
Angela.
Angelina, yeah, she,
It's Angela's.
yeah,
That's her first name, Angela.
Lansbury, wasn't it?
Right?
Lansbury,
Angela Lansbury. Yes.
yes. Those were OBEs. Um, Professor McGonagall was an OBE, but that's not Disney. That's Harry Potter
Before Disney.
before Disney. Yes.
Before they merged.
But if I just looked up a little information. Um, it was neat to see Sean Connery the way he was in this movie. In his later years, it wasn't his latest film. Obviously, he survived all the way up until 2012, 2013, if I remember correctly, for his movies.
Hmm.
And this was 2009, so it's still 10 years before he even thought about it.
I don't know if you remember too. It just popped up in my head. He was also he played King Arthur
Yes,
in Robin Hood.
King Arthur and Robin Hood, and he also
I think that was the Kevin
a
Costner film.
Kevin Costner film, or Indiana Jones was Steven Spielberg, but
Mhm.
still, um, I don't know which one's more popular. I guess but
I would say both. They're both popular. I like
yeah,
them
they're both
both.
popular. And this was Lucasfilm. I forgot about that
Hmm.
for the longest time. Indiana Jones is Lucasfilm. That's Star Wars.
Was he a writer or something? I think he was a writer.
Yeah.
One of the writers.
Yep. And then he was on this film. He was writer. It should George Lucas and then someone else, and then producer George Lucas and someone else.
Yep.
And it was always someone else that was a different person. But George Lucas had his hand in everything. which he always does.
Well,
Um,
him and Steven Spielberg are buddies. They had that
yeah.
bet. They had that bet back then. So
Yep.
between what was it, the Jaws and the Star Wars or something like that. It was
Y-
some kind of bet between them two.
Yep. Sean Connery, you could also see if you did it correctly at the right time of year. Most people forgot that he acted in Broadway, and he was King Arthur a lot of the times
Hmm.
at the what is that, the outdoor stage of Shakespeare, or not, or outdoor stage usually when they do Shakespeare in the park at
Well,
Central Park.
that's where he got his start, though.
Yes, that's where he
Was
got
in
to start. He did
Broadway,
it
and
towards his end of his life too, so it was
he
interesting
went
to
back
watch
to it.
him replay the role, 40 years after he started doing it.
I also like too in the film how they show I don't know, Harrison Ford. You know, he has that little scar underneath his chin,
Yes.
and then you see him what because he was in a car accident in real life, but
Yep.
they describe it in the film when he was young in River Phoenix when he played him, his character.
Yep.
He used the whip, and the whip. That's
Yep.
how
And it showed it how he started using the whip. I like
yeah, and that's
the
how he got the little
backstory
scar
in
on his
this
chin.
movie. It dived a lot into the backstory of Indiana Jones and
Hmm.
why he does not like snakes, really, even because remember that's where he first learned to use the whip, was right before he
Snakes,
hated those dang
snakes
snakes.
on that train, and then he
Oh,
then he fell into it. I think, yeah, he fell
yeah,
into
he
it.
fell into it with those
It was
guys
like, oh,
chasing him. Oh
and that
god.
was his phobia. The
Yep,
start of it.
that was the start of his phobia. I always laugh at the fact that almost every single movie he says something on the lines of "I've been chasing this my whole life,"
Hmm.
and then it's something. It's always different, even though he always chases it.
It's true.
It's like, how many other things do you have to chase before you end? Yeah, his his last movie was a good one, but he still had those his nods to his old ways of acting, and I like how he did that in the new movie. It was like a tap of the hat to his old, to his glory days when he was really popular playing Indiana Jones. So,
Well, we all kind of knew who was really chasing now
oh yes,
near
yeah,
the end. So
yeah. I I don't know if I really agree with the ending, like I said, but um, I don't know if it was better than what they had before. Now, do you know if their special features are going to show like original ending,
I have no idea. I haven't heard
legendary
anything.
ending?
I haven't heard
I
anything
think
or read anything.
I haven't read or seen anything, but when it comes out on DVD and Blu-ray, people will be looking for that, I bet.
Yeah, they're probably gonna skip. Oh, forget the movie. Let's just skip right to
The ending, the
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 bonus
part that
features.
got changed, like if I remember correctly, they said 5 times, 6 times, or something like that. It was some
Really,
high number that they had to change it so many times because people did not like the ending.
but this is the one they picked though.
Yeah, and it was not that good.
It's kind
I
of a.
don't know.
It was kind of a
I
cop out
bet
in a way.
I bet one of the endings is that she does not punch him at the end, and he stays in the time loop forever.
True, that could be one. Or
Yeah.
maybe the one is where he does go back in time and
Yep.
change with the sun and
But that would mean that he would. Well, I don't know.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. You could go in a whole
Yeah,
different
that could be
direction with time
that could
travel.
really dive into it.
I think a lot of people maybe wanted it that way, or not a
No, if
lot, but maybe
that
a
would have
few.
happened, though,
But
that a lot of people wanted it that way, but I could understand people that would put up their hands in the air because they always thought of time loop continuums as being bad in movies. Like, hey, I just
true.
changed the course of history because I decided to stay in the past. Now, could they've figured out a way to show that? I guess, but I don't know how because
Yeah.
they didn't really show anything like that. So,
Well, I mean, too. Well, we didn't mention two in the beginning. Spoilers.
no spoilers. I did
But
I
if you
think I did
remember
say
this scene when they go into that tomb and then they find whatever his name is, I forgot his name, but they've seen they found the watch,
oh yes,
and it's like, well, how did he get the watch? And then later on, they show how he got the watch.
I love that because that's part of like the mystery. I
Exactly.
guess that's figuring out the puzzle
Yes.
in a
It's
way
part a little bit.
because
See, that's
he
the stuff
looked
I
at the
like.
watch. He's like, "Wait a minute, how did he get this watch?" And then he thought, like a few minutes afterwards, he's like, "These watches weren't made till like
No.
100 years after they even started."
And then you see how he got the watch or who he
Yeah.
obtained it from.
Um, I kind of also was interested at the very ending scene. They always have that sci-fi look at like the 5 seconds of sci-fi, as I call it. He drank from the bad chalice, the evil guy,
Yes.
and then he had his face
That's the
disfigured.
that's the famous scene I was talking about before. It's like he looked like Christopher Lloyd melting.
Yes,
I don't
yes.
understand. How does his face grow long?
It
What?
looks like almost like they replaced the actor with like a wax model, and they are like, "Hey, let's catch it on fire. Here you go. This is what your face is gonna look like." It's all
Well,
melting.
that's
It's
what
like
they did. They probably,
wax.
yeah, they melted
Yeah.
with wax and then they just
Yep.
basically fast forward it.
Yep.
That's
That's
all
what
they
it
did.
looked like, and it was an interesting
But yet his face
effect.
didn't look like his
No.
round face. I'm like,
Nope.
what? It got longer. How does that happen?
They were trying for a new technique because they've already done it 3 other times with there were 3 different effects with other movies
Yeah.
on how they did the special effect at the end, which is kinda notorious with Indiana Jones.
I mean, I
Um,
understand his hair growing longer because he's
yeah, I
aging and
understand
his,
his hair growing longer because he
but
got older, I guess. And then her scream, that was ear piercing, I'm
yeah.
sorry. That kinda hurt my ears when I had it a little bit too loud and
Well, I think I would be screaming like a girl too if that happened.
Yes,
I
yes, I
mean,
would too. But
that,
still, uh, no, I'm only able to talk like this about this movie because I watched it last night,
yeah.
so
I've watched it so many times. It's just like I just remember. I didn't even see it again. But I did watch the other one, Temple Doom. Oh, and also remember I was talking about we were talking about Ki Hoi Kwan,
yes.
how I met him.
Oh, you found it.
There's the picture.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
see, I'm not lying. It's the truth.
Wow, that is the truth for sure.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's the proof.
Oh gosh. So you've met a famous actor.
I met many famous actors.
Well, that's the proof that you have of one of them.
Oh yeah,
You're like, okay, let's try to find more proof.
yeah. I
Uh,
got tons of pictures of actors and actresses. So
very cool.
I should do a stream on that or something. I don't know.
You've met enough actors. Could you like do like a stream of like you're trying to you do kind of do like an interview of them on your YouTube maybe or something like that?
You mean an interview with them or
Yeah,
just
interview with them. Yeah,
that's I've seen
it's
people
hard to
do that. I've
do.
seen them do that, but it's tough to do
It's tough to
because
do.
it's basically you have to get there probably very early, and you have to talk to their publicist or something
Yeah.
to make it happen. And I don't know, it's probably not free.
Yes.
So I'm happy just getting a picture with them.
Yes.
But there
Exactly.
have been a few events I've gone to where um, I do ask them first if they wouldn't mind doing a video, and it is sometimes you
Yeah.
do have to pay.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't, and you just talk to them, and it's it's
It
fun.
just matters if they're A-list or not a lot of times,
Yeah,
and how humble they really are.
yeah,
I know I've seen and noticed that Johnny Depp or someone that acts like Johnny Depp a lot of times he doesn't care if he does videos for other people's
Mhm.
YouTubes. He does it for free. He doesn't care.
Well, that's the same thing with Ernie Hudson. I met Ernie
Ernie
Hudson,
Hudson.
and I met
There's a few group of people
yeah.
out there that are celebrities
I did a
that
video. I took a picture of him. I did a video of him
yeah.
signing an autograph,
Yep.
and he saw me do it. He didn't say nothing. He was cool with it.
And
So
another person would have, if you would have got it, was George Lucas. Was very early on, didn't really care if he did
yeah,
autographs or something like that,
mhm,
or if you go to like somewhere that has like a Comic Con, a lot of times it matters on the voice actor, but
yeah.
they don't really care either a lot of times.
Well, you ever see that movie Weekend at Bernie's? The
Yes.
actor that played Bernie, I got an
Yeah.
autograph, met him.
Okay.
I did a video with him, and he was. I didn't have to pay anything, just the autograph picture. I
Oh,
did a
very cool.
video, and he was just. We were talking, and I took a video of him signing the autograph. And when I ended the video, I was talking to him for about 15 minutes.
Very cool. It's
It was
just people
very
that just like
cool.
to talk,
Yeah,
It's just great to be appreciated even though you're not really a major actor, but
yeah.
he was, it goes back and forth if
I
you
I
really
do
like
have
the
yeah,
paparazzi kind of style of life or
and I
not.
have met some actors too that don't like that, and
Ye-
I kind of
Yes.
rubbed the wrong way with them, and it didn't work, and I just said okay, thank you, and I just
Yep.
left.
Yep.
Some actors you got to be aware of too. There's a little sketchy,
Yeah.
so I'm not gonna name any names, but be on the lookout. But a lot of them are very cool, very nice, very shy, you know. But
I got to see Tim Burton a few times. And that's really
cool,
cool.
yeah.
He's kind of out there, I guess you could call that, because he has a different
We
kind of
all
way of
know he's
humor.
out there. So that's nothing new.
Yes, exactly.
You
He's
see
just
his
like
movies.
yeah, his movies, and then he's just like Stephen King. Stephen King always has a dark mind, they said.
Yeah,
He did even in his fantasy
but
book, which was the Dark Towers, they had like a horror kind of aspect to it. Everything he does has a horror aspect to it.
but
So
the thing is, as long as they don't do anything wrong or bad in their life,
yeah.
fine.
Yep.
I mean, I met Christina Ricci.
Oh,
She was very she was very nice,
yeah.
but very quiet, very shy.
Mhm.
She didn't really say much. I
Yeah.
just said, "Hi, how are you? I enjoyed your fest." She said, "Thank you very much," and took a picture with her, and that was it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
very even more beautiful in real life too.
She would be the kind of person I think that's like kind of like reclusive and doesn't really like the paparazzi that much though.
Yeah, that's what I sensed too. She doesn't
Yeah.
really. I
Yep.
mean, she was there, she did her thing, and then that was it. So
Yeah.
she wasn't very talkative, let's say.
Very cool.
She was very nice.
It's just neat meeting different people from different ways of acting.
Oh, it's so interesting how meeting these actors and actresses, how I mean, don't get me wrong, they're great actors, and but when you meet them in real life, it's just the personalities are some of them are the same, and some of them are just completely different. You
Yeah.
know, they're either nice or they're kind of they have to be nice to you, or they're
Yeah.
just like, yeah, fine, here you go, and that's it. It's just give me my money. But most of them have been pretty well so far.
Yep. And then we also had well, what was he when he did that? Then we also had the general that was from this is another going back to the film of the origin the what we were going through the last crusade if I remember
Mhm.
correctly. It was still a Nazi film. There was some instances that they showed Nazis in this film, and it was the highlight of the
There was a
evil.
lot of Nazis in this film.
There was quite a bit, not as much of some others. I would have to say they're like trying to keep hidden
Yeah.
almost
Well,
in
not like
this film.
Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I
That
mean.
was just Nazi
But
galore. Jesus.
we have the General Vogel. And General Vogel, he was in a bunch of other movies, but one of the more notorious, which was was National Treasure. He was in for the longest time.
With Nicolas Cage?
No, Michael Bryan, Byne, Byrne, Barn, I guess. Michael Barn.
Michael Barn.
Yep.
Hi, Mary.
And he
Um,
was a National Treasure television shows and in the
all right, so the only
movies.
National Treasure television show I remember was on Disney Plus. They just aired it.
No, BBC probably. I think National Treasure
BBC
was.
one.
Yeah, there
Yeah,
was a
I haven't seen that.
non-US.
I haven't seen that then, so I
Yeah,
wouldn't know.
but
I've
his
only
name is
seen the film,
Michael
and
Byrne. Yeah, but
I
Michael
gotta
Bourne.
I gotta see what he looks like.
Yeah, but it's interesting because it's kind of, if you think about it, National Treasure and this movie kind of coincide where you have to try to figure out puzzles, if you know
Okay.
what I mean. And he like was in both, which is kind of different and interesting, I would say.
How do you spell his last name? B-O.
Byrne, like born identity.
Michael Byrne. Yeah, that's
Born.
Byrne. Byrne.
Yeah, Michael
Yeah,
Byrne.
the Nazi guy.
Yep,
Um,
he's famous in National Treasure.
okay, here's an interesting fact I just read about him. It's a question: was Michael Byrne in Star Wars? Um, he worked as a stunt double for Ian McDiarmid and a stand-in for Christopher Lee and General Grievous in Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith.
There you go.
So there's my fun fact for the day, or for the stream.
No, it wasn't National Treasure. Douche.
That's what I said. I was like, what? All right.
National Theatre, Royal National Theatre from Britain.
Uh,
He was part of the Royal National Theatre, so he was probably Broadway. Longest step National Theatre in 1964, appearing in many seasons. So he was Broadway for a long time for like Shakespeare or something. But he was from Ireland.
all I know is he played a good Nazi villain.
Yeah.
They all did. I like the funny thing is in this movie they actually showed the character of Hitler in this movie.
Yes. Like for like 5 seconds. And he did the
I was just like,
autograph
oh, there he
on that
is.
on his book, and that was it.
Yeah, I was just like, oh, okay.
Yeah. I love Hitler. I don't know who played him, but I don't know if that really
He
looked
looked
like
like him,
him
that's for
or.
sure. I'm just saying that, but maybe an older version of him. But the funny part is, it's like, well, you had the book. He had the book in his hand. There it is.
Yep.
And he signed it. And it's like, oh, wow. That was a close one.
uh, I like this movie how it shows Indiana Jones fumbling at times, and he kind of like he gets pushed around a little bit, and he isn't as outgoing as his other films. I noticed.
I think what it is, too, you have to realize I think more of it is as his father was there.
Yeah.
And maybe he was more nervous
Yes.
with his father.
Yep.
And he wasn't like himself. And he wanted to prove to his father that, look, I can do this on my own. But
Yes.
in a way, it's like he's still kind of a stumbling idiot at times.
Well, his what's funny is not only that, but his father did some stumbles also at the same time,
Yeah.
and it's like, "Oh, well, I can do that. Well, I can try to do that, I guess."
I just sound like they argue between each other. He's like, Dad, Junior, Dad, Junior.
Yes,
That was
exactly.
funny. And him
Yeah,
with his
I love the ending moment where we got to see what is it? Okay, that's another question. Who was the guy's name that was the Arabian guy that always had the hat? And we seen him in the last movie, but we also seen him in this movie.
John Rhys Davies.
Yeah, John Rhys Davies. And I love at the very ending scene, he's like, "What's up with the junior?"
It was the dog.
You're based upon a dog's
You're
name?
named after a dog? He just couldn't he just couldn't believe it.
Yeah, Indiana Jones.
Indiana was the dog's name. What?
He was okay, so this Michael Byrne, this is one that kind of I remember, but he was familiar to audiences as Smythe. And Smythe was the soldier who attempts to rape William Wallace's wife and first intercepts Wallace to seek independence from England in the film Braveheart.
Hmm.
So
Okay.
he was in Braveheart as a major role, I would say, probably.
See, I wouldn't even remember that because it's been
He's
so
like the
many
back burner to a
years
lot of
ago.
things, and then he became like the main antagonist in this movie. Really, he
He's,
was
I would think of
the
him more of
general.
he's more of a character actor.
Yeah, he was a
That's really
character
all
actor,
it's like what
which
he is.
other than British, I noticed that too on this film. There was a lot of British people that were from the BBC that they brought over
Yep.
and had as main actors, maybe to try to promote British acting in the US. I don't know. At this time, 1991, I don't know of very many others before this, unless you want to count. There's been a few others, but was Beauty and the Beast before this? 1991, the original Beauty and the Beast,
Animated.
animated, yeah.
Uh,
Because I know that the Mrs. Potts was
hold
British
on. I
actress.
believe I thought it came out in the 90s.
It could have
I
been
could
about the same era. Could that have been like the push of the British acting movement, I guess, in the US? You see him
yeah, it
sometimes
is.
nowadays.
1991 it came out.
Oh wow! So I bet you they had a lot of films that had British actors. I didn't think of that. This was the same year that they had Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Was the same year that they made Beauty and the Beast.
Mm.
That's another one too. Same year.
This would be before that, probably The Little Mermaid,
Little Mermaid,
because that was 89.
80, 89, I think.
So then after that, it could have been Beauty and the Beast, the
Yeah.
major,
Yep.
because it doesn't take a year to make. That's for sure. For the next film. Well,
Yeah.
back I would say back then. Now, yeah, it does because now it's more computerized.
Yeah.
That's when they all hand drew everything.
Which is a dying breed
Yeah,
right now.
unfortunately.
Well, the problem is, if you're not doing the hand drawing anymore, how are you supposed to do more of the storytelling with the animation that it should go along with it?
I think
Because storyboards still need to be part of it to make it
I was just gonna say
work.
that they still have to hand draw the storyboards
They still have to hand draw the
to tell the
storyboard.
story, but then when it's all together, then they just put it on the
Well, I
computer.
guess sooner or later, there's probably a program out there that makes storyboards on your computer now too, so that everything will be on the
It's true.
computer. I know Robots, the movie with Robin Williams. and a bunch of others. That never got written in storyboard style on the wall. It was all
Hmm.
computer.
Well, that would make sense. Robots, computer,
Yes. Yeah. It
AI.
kind of makes sense, but it kind of proves you can do it, kind of in a way. And I guess Pixar still does the old style because they want to entice people to have more story building in the movies. And Pixar is known for that. Disney has been for a while, but they go off and on with some of their movies for the storyboard. I noticed.
I just like the old classic versions
Yes, the hand drawn
when there was actually a story to tell,
is story to tell.
not
Um,
just not just make a story up from other stuff.
oh, that's true. Well, you know what? It wouldn't be hard for Disney to think of something new. Just hire Tim Burton back.
That's true.
I'm
That's
sorry, but
true.
it's kind of scalding. But he was the one that always popped out. Like every movie that he did was different in some kind of way. Edward Scissorhands, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Nightmare Before Christmas, cult classic. Chlorine, chlorine. I don't remember the name of that
Chlorine. I
movie,
don't think
but
it's
that was Tim
chlorine.
Burton.
Wasn't there something with a dog too? A Frankenweenie or something?
Yeah, Frankenweenie. But
That was
that
it.
was I'm not counting that because that was basically a rendition of Frankenstein, but still.
Yeah. And also Batman. I'm not counting that either because there's been other versions of
There's
Batman.
just been
So
so
you
many
can't
different
really.
versions. You can't touch Marvel.
Yeah.
Because how are you supposed to do something new with Marvel that's been around since the 1950s?
Hmm.
Uh, Good luck on that. They've done they You know what? Sooner or later they're probably going to have a movie that counts some of the Marvels as turning into zombies, which they made into a comic strip already anyway for the longest time. I could see it, Superman turning into whatever his name was. I don't remember the comic strips that much.
Oh,
Started with a Z, I thought. Or was it X?
Abomination. No, was it Abomination? No.
I know it was my dad's era. Yeah, I loved the comics. Don't get me wrong. I
Yeah,
just never really
I
got
just
into
watched that too. I
it.
know the DC too, and I can't think of it. Um,
But at least I know I'm thinking of a character.
yeah, it was
He's out there
zombie Superman.
somewhere. Oh gosh, yeah.
Bizarro. That's it.
Bizarro, that's what it
That's
was.
the zombie.
Yes.
That was just in the TV show Superman too. I just watched it. And then he
But by
becomes.
the way, Michael Bain is still alive to this day.
He is.
He is.
Wow.
Which
What is he? 100 years old?
he has to be pretty dang old. So 1990, he was the commander, is what they called him. But I believe he was the guy that they always encountered, but he wasn't the main dude. He was his guy that was right underneath of him.
Hmm.
But he was the commander, what they called. Let me figure
Oh,
it
that's
out.
right. I was thinking of Doomsday. That's before Bizarro.
Yeah, not commander, but General Vogel, I guess they called him. But they have a couple pictures of him nowadays, and I don't know how old is he. He's 79. So in 1991, he would have been.
That's some good makeup makeup effects.
Yeah,
Holy cow!
yeah. He's towards the older. 1962 to the present is when he does the acting. So I guess he still does movies. 79 years old.
Like old grandpa or something.
Well, you can't really say anything. You could probably put him in the next Expendables.
I'm gonna actually go see that too, by the way,
Yes,
because I've seen
bunch
them
of
all.
British people. Why not? Just put them in there with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Just make it the whole
Yeah,
crew.
Arnold Schwarzenegger, Dolph Lundgren,
Yeah,
Style.
I know they're making a number 4 right now. Expendables number
It's
4.
coming out this year.
I know.
I just said I'm gonna go see it.
Oh God.
I've seen the other ones. It's like it's fun, stupid stuff, but
Yeah.
I hopefully it doesn't become like Fast and Furious.
Just so you know, John
So,
Rhys Davis, which
yeah.
was the guy that always had the hat, and he was always Indiana Jones's friend. Usually, he's 79.
Oh yeah, I know he's up there in age.
He's the same age that the General was.
Yeah,
Same
he's
exact.
he's just a year younger than Harrison Ford.
Yep.
I remember. I don't know if you ever watched the show back in the '90s. It was called Sliders. I don't know if you remember that show.
Not very much.
He was in that show. That was a good show to watch. It
Okay.
wasn't more about time travel. It was more like multi universes
Okay.
through this time warp thing or something. So
Yeah.
it's a very good show.
So basically, he was in a show that was basically dived into like something that's kind of like what they're doing right now, which is the multiverse for Marvel, in a way.
Yeah, in a way.
Which I'll agree to it, and allows Marvel to create more movies. I'm okay with that, as long as they're halfway decent, good storyboard movies.
Did you see the? I'm gonna get off topic again, but
Mm-hmm.
the Wolverine, Hugh Jackman, his new costume.
Oh, I got to see some of the behind the scenes. Yeah,
You see the picture of him in Red
yeah,
Deadpool.
Deadpool and him.
That's gonna look pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's gonna be a good one. But the whole thing is gonna be he's gonna be traveling through multi universes too in that movie
Yep.
through other movies
Yeah.
from the
Um.
X Men. So
Well, since Marvel Disney owns X-Men.
mm,
It also owns Marvel in a way, so they're allowed to kind of merge. And I know the next big Marvel movie is going to have a bunch of X-Men characters in it. That's
yeah,
all thing we know so far.
yep. I
Um,
heard X Men characters. There's gonna be some Fantastic Four characters.
yeah,
Um,
it's good to merge them.
yeah,
That's okay as long as they're owned by
and
the
it's
same company.
gonna be in that
Well,
new the
they agree.
Deadpool movie. So it's gonna be interesting to see how they're gonna do that.
Yeah. Um, Marvel. It isn't really the first movie that they tried to do that in, though. Too. Wonder Woman's been in how many different movies for what was it? Captain America. She's been in a few.
Hmm.
Was Wonder Woman was in it for a while there. And then a new movie that came out recently I liked was The Flash, where he went into the past. Did you get to see it? The Flash movie?
Yeah,
I
so
like that in a way. Like seeing the new and the old Batman in a way. Uh
well, they had it. They had.
the
Did they
different
have
versions of
the?
Batman. Yeah.
Well, that's what I was watching. I was watching the Flash on the CW TV show,
Okay.
and Ezra Miller
Yeah.
actually came for like a cameo scene. That was
Yep.
pretty cool.
I also remember watching the TV series Arrow. I
Hmm.
liked that one a lot. And I liked how they had cameos at one time. I don't remember what it was, who was what. Wasn't it Flash or something like that?
Yeah, they did the whole Arrowverse or whatever
Yeah.
multiverse thing with
Yep.
Supergirl,
Yep.
Superman, the Flash,
That
Arrow. They had everybody
it
in it. It was
I liked the movie The Flash, by the way. I
yeah.
liked it enough that I gave
It
him a
was it was
chance.
okay. It was
It was different. You know, you
Yeah.
you didn't expect at the very end that, hey, that's him trying to stop himself. Oh boy. That's a lot of multiversing right there.
But there's to me there was I think there was some plot holes.
Yes,
It's
but
kind of like
I
saying,
like
wait,
that
did he
they
kill
left
his
it open
mother? I don't
left open
understand
s
this.
I like how they left some of the plot holes open on purpose until the very end, and then they kinda, like, filled it up at the last minute,
Yeah,
saying that he was trying to stop himself from his other self from changing the timeline of his mother dying or something like that.
yeah. But how it saved it was just he just moved
Yeah.
the can up on the top of shelf so his father you could see his father's face.
Yes.
That's all it was.
Yep,
And
that's
it's
all it
like,
was. It
what
was like, "What? Okay.
yeah, what the heck?
What the heck?" Um, that's just proof a lot of times before that, if you think about it, they had a great storyboard, I guess you could say, up until that point,
Yeah,
probably.
yeah. It
They
was
had a
just
fantastic storyboard for jumping back and forth between time, going the future, going more into the past, having himself kick himself in the past to try to save himself, I guess,
yeah.
or save his mom.
Also, this the CGI was not good. It
No, it wasn't, but I
was
didn't really
terrible.
look at that much. I'm
Especially with
sorry.
the babies and stuff. Oh, it's bad.
Um, I guess how are you supposed to storyboard a different idea of how to enter the multiverse? Because the Flash just did it recently, that extra realm that he goes into
Yeah.
because he goes fast enough that he can do that. And then there became 2 Flashes because he went into the past and seen himself.
Do you think also, I know with the Flash too, but also in Marvel with say like Wakanda
Hmm,
and what the hell? What's her name? Sherry, whatever her name is, the sister.
yeah.
She's that mechanical genius, the scientist, and maybe if she makes a machine or something they could go in that route.
Yeah. They could make a Black Panther Wakanda
Because she's got the
Forever
brains.
number
I mean,
2.
really,
Do something. They could do something.
yeah. She's like Tony.
Um,
She's got Tony Stark, but even smarter.
yeah. I could see them, like, merging also kinda like they're doing with a lot of other movies, like, having it so other people try to help, but I would want, like, a group of people that you don't see movies of people of them.
Yeah.
I wanna see people that you don't see. You know, you see Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman all the time. I wanna see someone like Green Lantern hasn't really been in a movie in a long time.
Green Lantern. Who else is out there?
Uh, the Sheik, that would be kind of
Sheik, that's
funny.
another one.
He wasn't he the one that got large, if I remember correctly? He expanded.
Yes, he expanded. That's right.
Yeah, he
I
expanded.
remember reading up on that.
Ant-Man and the Wasp, I didn't really like the last movie, I'm sorry, but he brought in
I hated the last movie.
his
It
daughter,
stunk. I didn't like the
and
daughter. I didn't like the CGI. I didn't like the storyline.
they went in the multiverse, their version of the multiverse, well,
No, it was terrible.
miniatureverse. They called it the miniatureverse before.
How they portrayed the other character,
Yeah, I don't
the other
know.
villain. They
Oh, yeah.
stretched out his face. That was terrible
They
because he was
did.
basically the bad comic relief.
He was a bad comic. Oh,
I forgot his
that
name, but you know who I'm talking about. He was the yellow
Barzal,
jacket. Yeah, yeah. But he played
but
Yellow
he
Jacket in
was
the first one, I think.
I understand why they did it, though. That's a cameo because of the comic books. For the longest time, Barzak was one of the main evil guys,
I
and he
understand
looked
that,
exactly like him.
but how they used him though in the
And how
movie
they used
was
him, and
terrible.
I know. And he lasted 1 movie?
Yeah, no, he's dead. It's like what?
But and they're done. I'm like,
He's
"What
one
the
of the main
heck?"
villains.
He's one of the main villains. Um, Another one that they could try to do someday is The Brain, which I have never seen in him doing live action with someone like that.
Yeah,
That would be interesting to see, like, What would some of those look like in live action? Some of those supervillains that were from the Marvel era that you never really got to see.
Did you see the new trailer for what was it, Craven the Hunter or something like that?
Oh, no.
With the Spider-Man?
Huh.
It's the trailer's out.
Oh, okay, the new Spider-Man movie then? Or
No, it's his own movie.
oh.
It's how he became. I think is that his name, Craven?
Oh.
Let me look. Craven. Yeah, Craven the Hunter.
Okay.
It stars Aaron Taylor Johnson as Craven the Hunter. He's basically one of the main villains with, I think, Spider-Man and one of the Spider-Verse or Spider-Man villains. He's a villain in I think Marvel. They have a new trailer.
Okay. It looks interesting. I
It
just not
does.
heard
I thought it
about
was
it.
very interesting. And you have to watch the last second of the last scene. It brings up another villain. It's pretty interesting. And you
Here's the
have,
thing though. That is still Marvel and it was from the 1970s is where he came from.
yeah,
This is what he looked like.
yeah. That's what they try to portray him as.
And the live action looks a lot. I would say they, at
It's a
least for a
slightly
lot of them,
different,
it looks better
yeah, it's a
because
slightly different version. But I'm
yeah.
telling you, they do show another villain near the end of the trailer, but you really
Okay.
don't see him. But he has been in the other Spider-Man movies.
Another one that I don't really see that much of is Venom. But what's his name that plays Venom?
What, Tom Hardy?
Yeah, Tom Hardy.
Yeah.
He would be interesting to see him in a different Marvel movie because
Well,
it's
he
been
is.
5 years since
He's
I
coming
think.
back as Venom.
Yeah.
They're making another movie.
Yep. I can't wait for that to come out. But I would like to see him as like a cameo. Well, not a
Well, he
cameo, but as a second star on a Marvel movie
but
would
was
be
it he
interesting.
did make a cameo? I thought in the last Spider-Man movie.
He did, but wasn't it like at the very
It
end?
was an
And
end credit scene.
it was an end credit scene, and it was of him.
He was at a
Wasn't that
he was
him?
at a bar.
He was at a bar at a beach, and he was like watching the news. He's like, "Oh dang it, I'm too late."
Yeah.
And then he,
And then when
he
he
argued with
leaves,
himself, like, "Why were you too late?" And then he's like going off to another dimension.
he goes in another dimension. But did you see what's on the table though when he leaves?
I don't remember.
It was one of those little black symbiote things.
Okay.
So it's just there. So who knows what's going to happen in
Okay.
that?
Maybe they will dive into what they did for a long time for the comics and go for like the symbiotes took over almost every single one of the Justice League at one
I think
time.
that's what they're going to try to go for.
Yeah,
I
symbiote
think they're going to
Batman
work in
or
that
something like
route.
that, you know?
'Cause there's other symbiotes out there.
Yes.
So
But they've Spider-Man and the Spider-Verse is kind of a vague field in my opinion because it's made by two different companies,
yeah,
which is Universal and Disney right now, which Paramount and Universal used to be.
it was Sony.
So it was Sony at one time too. How many different legs does it have?
You know, I mean, I remember the earlier versions in the '80s,
Yeah.
the movies, and they actually did make a Justice. I don't know if you remember, they made a Justice League movie.
Okay.
It was very corny. Let's just say that.
Very funny. Oh, what did I just seen that was on this about this topic about Marvel that was just on Disney Plus that came out? And it talks about Nick Fury and his how he kind of became like a superhero kind of thing. Well, he stopped villains. Okay, so
Did he get in?
Secret Invasion.
Yeah, that's what's on Disney Plus right now.
That's what's on Disney Plus. But I noticed one thing also. It tells when the next Ahsoka comes out, because it's the 23rd of this month. There's a new Star Wars TV show coming out on Disney Plus. 23rd. That's 12 days.
Okay.
And there's a trailer out for it somewhere. But Ahsoka Tano, yeah, that's gonna look good.
Have you been watching the Nick Fury show or no?
I have not got to see it yet.
I've been watching it. I think it's okay.
Very cool. What did I watch recently? Well, they had Shark Week. Oh, did you get to? I've got like halfway through it, but I like the Stan Lee documentary that they pushed out on Disney Plus. It's called
Okay.
Stan Lee.
Stanley.
Yeah, Stan Lee, the movie. It has like it's a documentary. There's no actors in it. It's some of his old uh interviews that he had and him talking about how he started Marvel and how it started up with that comic books. Um, he started in a group that was called Midway Comics back in the
Yes.
1940s, 30s, something like that. Was 50s maybe even? I don't remember the
I thought it
exact
was the
date,
40s.
but he explained it to the detail in that movie, and it was great. It's a great movie, great documentary, I would say. If you're into the documentary style movies.
Who was I'm having a brain fart here. Who he worked with? What was the name of him again? It was Stanley and who was his
Um,
partner?
well, I watched half of it and I don't remember who he said it was.
Well, there was two of them that came together.
Wasn't it the person who created Superman? Because Superman was created before Marvel started.
Was that Jerry Schuster or Schuster?
Since Jerry Schuster or Schuster or someone like that. But they started with what Stan Lee was before Marvel started.
As I'm
And
trying.
then they both moved to the new company, which turned it into Marvel.
Okay. I was reading or was reading something. I watched a video on. I'm trying to find the name though, so I can. No, that's not it either. I can't find the name. Interesting. You know who I'm talking about though? It was Stan Lee with it was and somebody else with into Marvel.
Jack Kirby,
That's it, Jack Kirby. That's the name.
Don Heck, Bill Everest.
Jack Kirby.
I mean,
I
Jack
was
Kirby. There's a few names out there, but
I was watching a video and reading how they were saying how it was Jack Kirby's, I think his son or his grandson was saying basically them two, yes, they worked together, but Jack Kirby was really the one that thought of Marvel
okay.
and the comics and drew them, and Stan Lee was more of the person that distributed the business idea.
Yes,
It was the same way
probably.
like McDonald's, how
Yeah,
Ray Kroc came in, but he distributed the McDonald's business. So it wasn't
yeah.
really
Because
Stan Lee's
Stan
idea.
Lee didn't.
It was Jack
He
Kirby's idea.
yeah, Stanley even said he never drew that well.
Yeah. He was
That
the
was his
business
famous
partner.
line. I never drew that well. I was just an imagination behind, or not
Yeah, I
imagination, but
watched
he
it. I
was
read.
the main head
Yeah.
behind pushing out Marvel the way it is today,
Yeah. And
or something like
basically,
that.
Stan Lee was more of out there, and
Figurehead.
Jack Lee was more of the in the corner person.
Yes.
That was interesting when I heard that. I was like, oh, I never knew that.
I kind of liked how Stan Lee was starting to become cameos in some of the Marvel movies back in
I
the
love
day.
that.
Oh my god.
I love
Best
that.
acting ever. I'm sorry.
What was the first one? Oh shoot,
Wasn't it the first one? I think it was a
was this?
Spider-Man movie
I
where
think it
he
was the first
stopped the
Spider-Man.
train. Wasn't it stopping the train? And then I think Stan Lee was one of the people in the train, and he had like a big,
Yeah,
huge
the
newspaper.
newspaper. Yeah, that was it.
That was iconic, the first one.
He was in that. He
Um,
was in the. He was in one of
and then
the
he was also in later ones. He was in Avengers. He was
Avengers.
yeah, he was in Avengers if I remember correctly, and he was in the cafe that the Avengers went into to eat at.
Yeah, he was in that. I think he was in the Incredible Hulk movie.
Incredible Hulk. I just love the cameo. It's like
Yeah,
here's the guy that created all this Marvel. Let's just have him go straight
even
into it.
Lou
Yeah.
Ferrigno made a cameo in that as one of the
Yep.
security guards or something.
Yep.
I was surprised by that. I was like, oh, all right. I like how they bring back the old characters from that originally played the characters.
Yes.
You know,
I
like
think they just kind of learned people do like the cameos. If you're going to remake them, put in
mhm.
the new people, the old people with the new people if you can. Hopefully,
Like in the Wonder Woman movie,
Wonder Woman was a
she
great
came back
one. She
near the
came
end.
back. Disney does it kind of did it before that though, and they did it with, if I remember correctly, Mary Poppins and Mary Poppins Returns had Dick Van Dyke
Dick
and
Van Dyke.
a few others. The balloon lady, if I remember correctly, she was in it in the original.
Was she? See,
Who wants to fly a kite? I
okay,
believe, if you remember that.
barely,
No, no,
barely.
it was not Fly a Kite. That was the first movie. So the second movie was the Up, Up, Up song with the balloons.
All right.
Going through my mind on that
Yeah.
one.
I like how with the Little Mermaid they had Jodie Benson,
Jodie
a little
Benson and the
cameo.
Little Mermaid.
I like
Yep.
how they did that though with the fork.
Yes.
That was that was good.
And I think they even did that in the live action to, or sorry, animated to live action Beauty and the Beast. If I remember correctly, they had some of the old people that were the voice actors, and they put them as some of the people that were in the movie.
Was Angela Lansbury in that, or was she?
I don't think so. It was like people that I didn't even know that
Yeah,
much.
because you wouldn't even recognize. I wouldn't even recognize them.
No, you would not.
But so anyway, anybody watching, highly recommend to see Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
Yeah, Indiana Jones and
It's
Last
one
Crusade.
of the good films out there.
I liked it. It was a good movie. Sean Connery. I just really plug his name in there, and everyone knows what he sounds like.
Yeah, you just hear
Like
his name.
iconic Scottish accent. Everyone liked the accent whenever he was in movies. Do you know if he was in the? He was in not. He was in the Crystal Skull, but only as like photos. So he really was only in one movie of Indiana Jones.
Yeah, that's all he was. He was. I think he was mentioned. I mean, he was mentioned in
A
um,
few.
few, but you don't really see him.
And this is the first time you get to see Indiana Jones as a teacher, if I remember correctly. No,
No, he was a teacher in the other films.
he was a teacher in the other films too, wasn't he?
The original one, Raiders. He was a teacher.
Oh, okay. I liked in this one how a bunch of the kids were trying to get a hold of him, trying, why are you not, doing this? Why are you not doing this? And he just hops out the window.
Yep.
It's like, what the heck, dude? Oh gosh. And what's with their problem in this movie? Like they had like like all their houses got ramshackled like 4 times, or rooms
Oh
also
yeah.
got ramshackled like 4 or 5 times trying to find that one journal.
Well, even the scene when him and his father were in, and then they burn it down. And they're
Yep,
sitting in the chairs.
yep. I love they just. This is one of those movies, and you don't find it that many times that they meshed really well. His father and him, and
I'm
who played the Indiana
yeah.
Jones, just they just meshed.
I'm
It
thinking
was
of.
it was fated to be, I think. It was
Oh
just
yeah.
it was a great collaboration that they had
I
because
think the
they
one.
fed off
Yeah.
of each other, I
Oh, they
think.
did. Well, the one scene I remember, I liked. I laughed because it was. I don't remember. They're on the island on the
Okay.
beach, and there's a plane coming, the Nazi plane,
Oh,
and there's like a
yes.
flock of seagulls, and here goes Sean Connery with his
Yes.
umbrella, and then
Yep.
all the seagulls like fly up there, and they're like bulging into the guy's plane, and then now there he goes, and then he just crashes,
And
and then he
right
just comes
before
back
that,
carrying his
I
cane.
love the moment of the other plane that tried to follow him into that tunnel, and
Mm-hmm.
then the guy that was in the plane went faster than the car because they were kind of just staring at him,
You know,
and he
like,
just kind of passed right on
well,
by, and then they just
that's
drove
it.
right past him.
They
And
fly over the
they were like
cliff.
staring at each other like, well, you're there, but what am I doing here?
Oh, they knew. It's like, well, we're dead.
Yes. Oh gosh. I
Even
just
I mean,
never knew. I'd never thought of it before for this movie, and then the first time I noticed it, um, I didn't notice that the guy that was flying the plane almost had like a vacant expression. Wasn't even didn't even look like he was scared. He's just like accepting his fate almost for the plane driver when he skidded past the car in
mhm.
the tunnel.
He's just like, all right, that's the enemy.
With an end for me. Yeah, exactly. And then how they couldn't figure out how to he had his lighter, and when he started and made that fire inside that guy's house,
Yes.
and Sean Connery dropped it, and somehow it started up a fire for that whole room, and then they made it to the fireplace, which Indiana Jones kept hitting the lever, and it would go into that
Rotated.
hidden room that you're not really supposed to go into. Heck,
There was always, and that's what I like about these movies. There was always an escape plan,
yes.
escape tunnel, escape door. There was always
That's how I
something.
always say it's very. I think because the way they made this movie and how they made uh, National Treasure kind of coincided and kind of fed off each other
Mm,
because those were both the same kinds of movies, probably different eras, but same kinds of movies where you have to, find like the lost treasure of whatever it is, whatever they're looking for. Um, I think because of the way they made the movies, it kind of fed off of each other, and it kind of made it so that's I don't was Nicolas Cage popular before the National Treasures? Because I know that made him basically a superstar afterwards.
yeah, he was. He was in a few films.
Okay.
He was his. I think his first film was Raising Arizona.
Okay.
That's what made him
Okay.
into the really. I mean, he was in another film, but like as a character actor, as a background. I don't know. You
Yes.
remember Fast Times at Ridgemont High?
Oh, yes.
He played one of the cooks.
Okay.
No lines. He was just one of the characters. Raising
Yeah.
Arizona was his first lead role, And then after that,
it was these National
National.
Treasures, John Wick. I kind of liked all the John Wicks, really.
Yeah,
The last one was kind of hilarious how many times he had to fall down those stairs to try to get to the top, but still.
John Wick is people know it too. I'm not one of the fans of John Wick.
It's
It's not my type of movie.
it's
Um,
action, that's all it
it is
is.
action,
It's
but
action film.
is he
And
a
I
human? Is he
really
human? Is he
one
human or
of
is he
his
a superhero? Because
most
how many
famous.
times does he get shot,
Yeah,
stabbed,
I
punched?
know.
Come on.
He's a superhero. Come on.
I know. It's just not for me for that one.
Um,
I saw the second one. I'm
weird.
like,
I did
no.
not like the first two John Wicks. I liked the third one, and not the fourth. The last one was the fourth. I liked the third one when they were trying to explode the hotel, if I remember correctly. That he always
I
visited.
haven't. I haven't seen. I saw the first. I saw the first and second one. That's all
Yeah,
I've seen, and that was it.
yeah.
I was
It's
done.
like, oh gosh.
Yeah.
What I liked, they also had a movie with what was it? It's something where Nicolas Cage went to an island because one of his fans was paying for him to go there, but really it was like a psycho and he had to try to stop him kind of. But it was recently that it came out, and I think Nicolas Cage was in the movie. Not Nick in the movie, but his name was in the movie too.
The one I remember was The Rock with Sean Connery, of course. That was an island in a way. Uh, was it an action film or?
Yeah, 2022. It just came out recently. Oh yes, it's called The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent.
Oh yeah, I saw that movie. That's
And that's Nicolas Cage
that's actually
going to
pretty
an
funny.
island.
That was actually pretty funny though.
I
I gotta
like
admit,
that
I
movie.
did
Wasn't
enjoy
that
that.
funny? I think that might have been his towards the top of what he's
Yeah,
done.
I cracked up at the wall scene. Then they're like, no, and then he falls, and then he just walks around the wall. It's like,
Yeah,
Did you see him in the new Dracula movie?
I
He
did
plays.
not. I want to, but I did not
That
get to
is
see it.
that's bloody. That's
Okay.
yeah. He's making a lot of these B movies. I think you call them. Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
He was in that other weird movie too. It was a horror movie where he's trapped in this building
Oh gosh. Now
with
here's
these.
here's this is gonna make you laugh.
What's that?
Into the Spider-Verse, which just came out, and you said did you say you watched it, or you're not gonna watch it, or it has Nicolas Cage as the voice acting,
No, I didn't see it yet.
but it has Nicolas Cage as a villain voice acting.
Really?
Eh, eh.
Well, technically, if you look at, he was in the Flash
Yes, he was, but
as Superman.
Superman, yeah.
Apparently, that was supposed to be another Tim film. Hi, Dave.
Hello, Dave.
Yeah, that was supposed to be what, a Tim Burton film. He was supposed to play Superman.
Okay.
It was in the works back in the when they were doing the Michael Keaton Batman, but it never came into effect.
Oh, that's what you're talking about, the new Dracula movie. That was refined, wasn't it? Refield.
Renfield, that's it. Yeah,
Renfield.
yeah.
Renfield, yes.
He plays Dracula.
Okay.
That was very gory. All right, well, Richard, it's almost 7:30.
Yeah, we can head out.
I gotta eat something and then head to bed later. I'm getting up early.
Well, thank you for joining me for the
No problem.
stream.
This was fun
Um,
again.
I gave this movie I would probably 5 stars. You always go towards the 5 stars, so I'll give it a 5 out of 5. It was pretty good. It's towards the top. Um,
Yeah, I'm gonna give this like a 4.9
yeah,
around that area.
yeah. The storyboard was fantastic in the movie, and they had so many spin-off and spoofs. It will make you laugh. The
Yeah,
meshing between not Nicholas Cage, but Sean Connery and Sean Connery and
yeah. This
Indiana
is this
Jones.
was more of a comedy
I
version with
loved it.
Indiana Jones.
It still had action.
I had a lot of action,
It had a lot of
a lot of
action.
action, a lot of
Yep,
adventure,
yep,
storytelling, puzzles,
yep. It
comedy. I
still showed the
mean,
scene of him flying, which this is the only movie I accepted, except that one big huge red line going across the globe,
yeah.
and it shows him going with it. So it's like, okay, now they're in
Well, that's when they had
Saudi Arabia,
they were on the what was it, the blimp?
Yes, I like the blimp stunt scenes that they showed on
Yeah,
that
like you
one.
said, he just threw him out the window.
I feel sorry for the guy that they stole the car from. He was trying to fix the wheel. He finally got it fixed. He's like, okay, finally. And then
And
you
it
just
just
see the car
goes.
driving off.
He's just like,
Ah,
what? It's like, where'd it go?
shortest cameo of all time.
He still got paid for it though.
Yes. Okay. Good movie.
Anyway,
I
good
will
movie.
say goodbye, all. We gave it a pretty high ranking.